Ladies and gentlemen, we have a true real estate coaching powerhouse joining us today with an unparalleled track record of success and a wealth of experience under his belt. Our guest is undeniably one of the most experienced real estate coaches in the world, having conducted over 100,000 coaching sessions and accumulated an astonishing 50,000 hours of consulting. Our guest experience and expertise in the real estate industry is nothing short of extraordinary. So, that's not all, though. Our guest is not just a coach. He's a dynamic speaker who has taken the stage at over 580 sales seminars with over 400,000 attendees. His insights are not just theoretical, they're battle tested and proven in the real world. Today, he's here to share his wealth of knowledge with us. So get ready to gain invaluable insights and take your real estate game to the next level as we welcome the unparalleled Bill Pipes.
Wow, I feel like I'm stepping into the ring to fight Muhammad Ali. And now in the blue corner,
excited for this interview. It's going to be great. We're going to answer a lot of amazing questions that real estate agents have, and a lot of, controversial / interesting questions that are going on around, and just kind of browsing around today. So let's just get right into it.
Cool.
I really want to just start off and talk with you about basically your background in early life. I know you've probably talked about this many times and many different places online, but I would just like to ask you what, as far as your childhood and just early influences that have shaped you the most, what do you think were those experiences in the past?
So let me start with a person, right? Okay. I think it's always important because experiences are actually based upon the people that you're with, right? And the memories that you have are based upon things that you've done with other individuals. I would say my number one influence, believe it or not, is my mom, right? She was a single mom, raised me, worked 3 jobs. She was a real estate agent and, was in the business and then got out of the business. Went back to being a paralegal, but she was always what I learned from her, and it was just a big shout out to all single parents, that play both those roles. Is number one, the importance of grit. Like she is definitively the definition of grit. She's just gritty, determined. And then number 2 is sacrifice. I watched her, sacrifice a lot of things to be able to actually provide for me. What it is, the opportunities to be able to go to college and to live in. I mean, we were the poor family in the very rich neighborhood of Dana Point, California, right? And so, but that wasn't easy for her, and she worked multiple jobs so we could have a nice apartment in an area, and for me to have that exposure and that be around that world, right? So, definitively, I would not be here, and she's still, and she's my biggest cheerleader. She's the most active person for me on social media, right? And truly, Eric, she's the one that most importantly, I look at and I say, okay, for your sacrifices, this success is for you, Mom, and so, it's given me drive and motivation and determination to be able, and I've never actually even said this on any interview or anything along those lines, because, they're always asking me business influences and everything. And obviously I've had, we can talk about that, a ton of great business minds that have poured into me. But in terms of a model of someone of hard work, determination, grit, sacrifice, right? And always having that unconditional love, that would be my mom. So, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't. I would not be in this position if it wasn't for her. Period.
So you would
she gave me my first. It's right down there. You can't see those. She gave me my first motivational tapes at 13 years old. Right? She handed those over to me. So, and I still, I keep them right there. Watch. I keep them. There's 3 of them right here, to remind me and you're going to see something. These are audio tapes, right? That maybe you can see, maybe you can't see, that I keep these to remind me, of that sacrifice. Every single day I look at them when I come into the office. So, yeah.
So you would say that greatest role model growing up, and even now, you would say your mom was that biggest influence on you.
100%, at least from a base fundamental area. Now, I also had, my dad wasn't in the picture that much, right? So, but I had 3 really powerful men that really fulfilled. I look at it, you always got to think about this, Eric, the universe is working for you, not working against you. right? Like, and that's one of the big things I look at. And you may not be able to connect the dots in the moment, but you can look back and go, oh man, that was the universe, God, or universal force, or whatever you believe in, working for my greatness. No, it wasn't working against me. So even though my dad wasn't in the picture, at that time when I was growing up, I had my grandfather that was like World War II veteran, school teacher that taught me again like the importance of going the extra mile. I had my uncle Rodney, who is a super successful printer, marketing individual in Dallas, Texas, that again taught me the value of hard work. I lived with him a couple of summers, and when I was like 7, 8 years old, he had me out helping, like here's a multi-millionaire, and I'm helping do landscaping for like his yard, and I'm like hating every moment. And I look back on it, some of the best memories I have. And then my uncle Charlie, so I keep this Marine thing up here because it's his, God rest his soul, has passed away, and that taught me how to be a man, like when I was going from 12 to 13 years old, and
being around the right influences. Yeah, totally. And so
always.
many people live so pessimistic most of their life, and if they don't look at it in the perspective that everything is for them but against them, of course they're not going to succeed.
You'll miss the opportunities, you'll miss the lessons, you know what I mean? So
For sure, for sure. Next question actually kind of, I guess, kind of connects to your mom, because how did you get into real estate, right? That was your mom that got you into real estate, huh?
no, she didn't get me into like, so she gave me the exposure to real estate, right?
Okay.
Okay, but by the time that, see, I had no plans of doing what I'm doing, like, tell you the truth.
Mm,
Like many of us, I went to college. I saw a movie called Dead Poets Society, and I said, with Robin Williams, which if you have not seen it, Eric, it's like an older one from like 1991, 1990. I said, I want to be a teacher. I went to school. Um, my first 6 months of school, I wanted to be an econ major, and then Dead Poet Society came out. And I watched this movie with Robin Williams, who's a teacher at a private school for boys, and I said, "That's what I want to do. I want to be able to inspire the lives of young people, young men and women, to be able to actually." That's where Carpe Diem comes from, that I have tattooed right here. But I
hmm
wanted to help them seize the day, make their lives extraordinary. And I saw that. I said, "Oh man, that's my game." So went to school to be a comparative literature teacher, and so I met and who got me into real estate actually was Mike Ferry, right? This guy who is my primary mentor, all in terms of business, my primary business mentor, and I keep him on my desk, and I look at him every single day to really remind me of all the lessons and all the great insights and practical strategies that he's taught me. And he made me a really great offer. To be able to, it's sort of funny. He said, "Hey, I want you to come, and I want you to, I want to teach you everything that I know." And I said, "Oh, well, let me think about it. Let me finish up my, my PhD program that I was in at that time." He said, "I'm going to pay you X amount your first year," which would have been substantially more than I would have taken me 10 years to make as a teacher. And I said, "Okay, good. Like, he says, "Give me 2 years. And at 2 years, you can go back." I was 24 years old at the time. He goes, "You can go back and you can continue your education. And if you don't like this, but I'm going to teach you how to teach, the minds of adults." And so that was the beginning of him putting me underneath his wing. And ultimately I attacked, is what I did. I attacked what he taught me in the same way that I did as a student. And I just was a student. I became a student of Mike Ferry, and a student of the business, and a student of sales. And that gave me the chance to be able to actually level up in his business, become one of the top coaches, and then be able to actually roll that over into real estate. What I had learned, theoretically, I then got the chance to actually break away and do tactically with directlender.com, which is a mortgage company that we had, and the Realty World franchise that was attached to it, and ultimately my own team in Salt Lake City. So
Wow. What a person to be around. That was your influence, man. That's crazy. So many people know him, it's like,
it's
goodness
insane.
gracious.
Like
Yeah.
it's and I yeah, it's really humbling to think about some of the mentors that I have, and that's my superpower. My superpower is to surrender to the mentorship of the men and the women that are around me and who are pouring into me, and not ask any questions, and to learn, and to just really become a student of learning, right? Like, I am an avid learner. That's all my books that I read and everything in the audio. I'm just constantly doing my best to continue to stay relevant by learning and progressing, right? Because I think that's one of the key things that causes a human being to either have happiness and fulfillment or to be frustrated and unfulfilled is, are they progressing? Are they growing? Are they moving forward? Right. In fact, there were studies that were done at Harvard in terms of people that what causes them to feel fulfilled. And part of that is they continue to learn. Right. So, and that's
100%.
what, and that's what I like, I love about coaching people is they come to me because they realize they aren't finished yet. Right. And I get to help them really evolve and to help their business evolve and help them evolve because really the business grows to the extent that the human being does, right? I help to get to help them evolve as human beings and help their business expand strategically based upon that.
100%. I think there's a lot of realtors that get into this and they don't improve and they don't continue to progress, like you said. And I think there's just unrealistic expectations. It's like, it's a one time thing. You learn everything you need and then you just do everything the same. No, it's like constant improving, constant changing and shifting. You got to be flexible.
Yeah, 100%, dude. I completely agree.
Yeah. So kind of going to Tom Ferry and the early years of you getting into real estate, what would you say was the moment in your career where you would have the most exponential success? And like, why? Why did that happen? How did that happen?
Mm. Obviously, at the beginning, there was a lot of growth with Mike, not Tom. Like Tom was his son. Tom was around at the time. It was Tom and myself and, Matthew and Patrick. So I actually did become Mike's son-in-law. I married his daughter, right? So I can't get much closer than that. But there at the very beginning, there was a lot of growth, as there always is, because like you're moving from a static position and expanding dramatically. I think that was one of the key ones. I think when I broke away and went from coaching to to aggressively going into the business, directlender.com, and Aaron Chua, who was is a friend and also was a good mentor for me at the time. Um, uh, that created a lot of growth, and then when I launched my own team in Salt Lake City as well too. So all three of those moments here's where growth occurs. Growth occurs massively when you put yourself in situations that scare the shit out of you, and you don't have a lot of you may not know how to figure it out, but you just know that you're going to, right? And so when we started directlender.com, dude, I had no mortgage experience, and I had left Mike Ferry and Aaron Shue and Ryan Marshall said, we've got this young mortgage company. We want you to help scale it and grow it. And we grew it from, I didn't know anything about mortgages, didn't know anything about the mortgage industry, but again, attacked it, studied it, looked at the principles of people who were highly successful inside of it. And we grew our mortgage company together from 80 some odd people to over 3,000 over the course of, 4 years. Right. And then obviously the Great Recession of 2008 actually hit and like that changed. And obviously never shut doors, never closed doors. But the whole model changed at that point. But, I didn't know about mortgages. And so I learned about mortgages when I launched my team up here in Salt Lake City. I was new to Salt Lake City. Didn't know anything about online marketing, found a product called Boomtown from someone I was coaching at the time. And we launched that, and we grew it into a really substantial business in Salt Lake City. And then we expanded into markets. We expanded into Silicon Valley and into other areas in Northern California, and then Southern California, we partnered. I knew nothing about expansion, but I knew people who did. I surrounded myself. There were a couple steps ahead of me, and I just would rip off and duplicate what they did or make it better. RNDDD, which is rip off, duplicate, deploy, and make better, right? And so anyone that's looking for substantial growth, you got to put yourself in uncomfortable situations where you really may not have all the answers, but you got to trust that you can find them.
100%. Yeah, that's being an entrepreneur. You're always trying to fix problems that you don't know how to fix. Yeah.
It's interesting. I was listening to something. You know who Andy Frisella is, right? He's owns a nutrition company, but he also has like 75 Hard, and he's got his own podcast and everything. He's brilliant. And he said, it's funny because people have this perception of being an entrepreneur. Okay. And the perception of being an entrepreneur is that it's fun and it's enjoying and it's exciting. And he goes, dude, really, realistically, 92 to 93% of the time, you are in a state of frustration, chaos, upheaval, uncertainty, right? 2 to 4% of the time is celebratory, right? And that's honestly it. The rest of the time, you're just, and then there's this in between stage of a couple of percentage points. But if you're going to be an entrepreneur, man, it is like being at the carnival and it's the fun house and the floor is always moving and
Right.
you're trying to
Yeah.
figure stuff out and you're getting it wrong and screwing it up and making changes and adjusting. And it's just, it is not what people actually think when they watch Gary Vee and say, I'm gonna be an entrepreneur, man, and I'm not going to college and I'm going to do this. And I'm like, buckle up, Buttercup, because it's going to be a rough ride for a couple of years as you learn the lessons that you need to make more intelligent decisions through failure, right?
Yeah. Totally. Totally. I think a good transition into this would be just talking about your philosophies and just core values and kind of beliefs where you're at right now and really what got you to where you're at right now. So let's just ask a couple of questions. Awesome. So when it comes to life and really having the right mindset, what do you say that you do in your life to really maintain motivation, courage, and success?
Hmm. So I think so. A couple of things. Number one, I have something that's called the 1800 challenge, and what it really is, Eric, is it's a process of about 6 different things that I do every single day. Right? You see certain people and you look at them and you go, man, that person's naturally inspired. The reality is no one is naturally inspired. Right? No one is like born inspirational. It's something that they've worked on or they continue to work on every single day of their life. It's a decision that they make in terms of how they're an outlook that they're going to have on life. But number 2, it's a reinforcement every single day. Listen, we are beaten up, beaten down. We are bombarded right now with so much negativity in the world, right? I mean, the world is incredibly divisive and it pulls us in multiple different directions. And it's easy to go down a rabbit hole of negativity. So every single day, and this is what I do for myself and anything that I'm asking my coaching clients to do or anyone that's an audience or in an audience for myself, it's something that I've done myself, right? Like I'm not going to ask someone to do something that I'm not either willing to do or have done. So what this 1800 challenge really is, and it's been life-changing for so many people, it's become not just a challenge, a way of life, is this. It's 6 simple commitments. Number 1 is that you're going to work out for 10 minutes a day. Now, these are going to be small commitments. And that's the thing that I learned from Jim Rohn. I've never met Jim Rohn, the great speaker who trained Tony Robbins, right? But I've watched so much of his videos, I consider him a mentor. And he said, success is not big decisions. It's small decisions held over long periods of time. So you look at this and these are really small commitments, right? It's not like these huge things that you need to do. So number 1 is 10 minutes of working out every single day. Get the body, you wake up, body fuels the mind, etc. Number 2, you're going to listen to about 10 minutes of something that is motivating or inspiring you, a podcast, a book, I almost said book on tape and dated myself, but Audible or something along those lines, right? Something that just sort of like gets the mind going. So you're priming the body, you're priming the mind. And then last but not least is to do a set of affirmations, right? I believe in affirmations. I believe in self-talk. I believe the first sale that needs to be made every single day is you selling yourself on how the day is going to go, on who you are, how you're going to navigate it. For me, I have simple ones like I'm alive, excited, and full of energy. The unlimited wealth of this world now flows to me through both seen and unseen avenues. Because right now I am the voice. I will lead, not follow, create, not destroy, believe and not doubt. I'm a force for good. I'm a force for God, I'm a leader to fight. And I go on and on like with these affirmations that gets my mind going, hey, it's go time. Now that's the morning. That's the 6 things. So it's 10 affirmations, right? 10 minutes of working out and 10 minutes of listening to something that's going to actually motivate, inspire you, or educate you. Now, a lot of people will do the other 3 concurrently. They'll just go roll straight into it. I personally like to break it down and go, the first 3 are to launch me. The last 3 are to release me. To release my day, to launch, and the ones in the morning are to launch me. So my release process, and that what I teach and coach people is this. At the end of the day, then what you're going to do is you're going to take 10 minutes, you're going to meditate, you're going to pray, right? Or whatever it is that you believe in, right? And you can use some app like Insight Timer, Headspace, Calm, any of those that are very easy. And just press, find a 10-minute meditation, and then you follow it. You're going to write down 10 things that you're grateful for. Over here, this is my gratitude journal, right? I keep it on my table. And so I'll sit down. It's nice. It's good for me to hold. I'm sort of tactile, right? I love it. It's pretty, it makes it fun for me to sit down, almost like a ritual. And then at the very end, what I'll do, I'll read 10 pages of a book, actually sitting down to read. And 10 pages can turn into 20 or 30, but at a minimum, I'm doing 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Now, people ask me why it's 1800. Well, because you're getting 1800 mental inflections throughout the course of the month, right? Because you're doing, 60 per day, 30 days, like 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 affirmations, 10 gratitudes, etc. That's 60, like things that you're doing to push the mind, to inspire the mind, to prime the mind. That's 1800. It's like doing bicep curls or squats. You do 1800 of those in a month, your legs are going to get stronger, your arms are going to get stronger, you're going to get more defined, right? So people that are inspired, right? People that take on big things, they know that mentally they've got to be incredibly strong, Eric, right? And that's not something that just happens. It's something that they create. So that's number one, right? Is to have a ritual or routine or a discipline of actually priming the pump of your mind throughout the course of the day or multiple times in the course of the day, right? So that's number one. I think number two also is, when I look at being able to overcome adversity, because that's one of the questions, like, how do you overcome that? It's, if you look back here, like all types of books right back here, down at the very bottom, the bottom two shelves are all biographies, right? These two right here, right? A long time ago, my mentor, Mike Ferry, said to me, hey, Bill, personal growth and development books are great, but what you really want to be reading are biographies, because in biographies, what you're going to do is you're going to find out the process, the battles, how other people, Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, Mary Kay, how all of them actually overcame adversity, and you're going to learn from their experiences. You can't be side by side with them in the sidecar of the motorcycle of their life, but you can learn from them by reading what it is that they went through, how they navigated it. It's interesting. Right now we've got our G3 event, our sales power event that's coming up. And, I hit this point where I'm like, man, I want to have more people in that room to be able to impact them, et cetera. And I was like looking at the results and going, shit, I'm not happy. I want more. And I think that's one of the characteristics and traits of someone that is a top producer is dissatisfaction is the sign of someone who's an achiever. You're always gonna be a little bit dissatisfied. But I said, okay, cool. And I remembered something that Elon Musk in his book wrote. And when Tesla almost went BK when he was launching the company, what he did is he went to and this is how you learn from these biographies, how it impacted me just recently. He went to his C-suite and said, guys, we got to go be salespeople. And so he said that he had them go out and start selling cars to larger organizations and getting the word out on Tesla before Tesla was what we know as Tesla. And it saved them from a margin call on a loan, a balloon payment, right? That they were able to actually, because they went and they got on the phone themselves. For me, I learned from that. And so I said, I'm not happy with the results I'm seeing right now. I want more. What can I do? I can put pressure on my team, or I can do what Elon Musk did and get on the phone and actually go do it. And it like empowered me, bro, to go, oh shit, if Musk did it, then Pipes can do it as well too. So.
Yeah. So yeah, with adversity, I think just like you said, I mean, even some of the things you brought up are actually biblical principles where it's like, it says, have the mind of Christ. Now, how do we like actually fix the way we think and how do we change our mind? It's not by our actual thoughts, but it's actually by our actions that we dictate our mind, the way it changes, right? So it's like saying different things is actually going to change the way you think, right? So whatever you say, in a sense, like doesn't literally create your world, but it creates your thoughts, and your thoughts and internally.
I think language creates reality, bro. Like 100%. Right? Because that language changes what you focus on. Now, I know there's different. I actually was a religious studies minor, right? So as an English major, comparative literature major, and as English studies minor, because there's so many biblical references and biblical allegorical components in all literature. I love the beginning word of the greatest book on the planet. The Bible said, "In the beginning there was the Word. The Word was good. The Word was God.
And the Word was God."
Yeah, and there's different interpretations of that, but for me, and I know that if you go a little bit more hard stance, it's one way. But for me, when I hear that, I go, "In the beginning was the Word. The Word was God. The Word was good." Wow, that's about the creation, right, of all that we know. And what does it say? In the beginning was the Word.
Right.
Think about that. chills on my arms, man.
Yeah,
We
man.
can
It's
create,
true. It's
we
true.
can create the reality with the words and the language that we use. And why so many people get shut down, right? And don't move forward. It's because they don't use they use their language to restate what is going on versus to create what they would like,
Hmm.
man.
Yeah. I mean, it literally says that we were made in God's image and God really creates things. So what do? We create, right?
We're creators. And what's the one thing that we use to create more than anything else? The language of what we speak. You say, man, I never have enough time. Then guess what? You just created a world where
Yep.
all that you see is I don't
Totally.
have enough time. You say, why do I always attract these people into my lives? Why do I always have this type of relationship or these types of clients? Well, you're directing your brain to create a world that validates the language that you use. It's insane. And if
Yeah.
people got nothing else but that's why people complain and bitch and moan about stuff. Get more of the stuff that they are complaining about because that's the world that they created with their language.
Yeah, I think this is a great way to transition to the next question, which is how do you overcome the fear of people's opinions?
Okay, I cannot believe you're asking this question. I have been like total transparency. I have been so like people look at individuals like myself or other speakers and trainers, and you think that we don't go through our shit, right? Dude, I have been in such a state of comparison recently
Mm,
of me to other individuals. And in fact, I was just texting Anna, right, my significant other and director of operations for my company. I went through and I deleted almost every other sales trainer off my Instagram and social media. Like I just got rid of it,
yeah.
right? Why? Because I was comparing myself and where I am right now, right, to where they are.
Mm,
A couple of things, and I think that's normal human nature, and especially in this world of social media where people always show how great they're doing, and I'm in this good shape, and here I am with my shirt off, and here's how much business I got, and here's how I'm crushing it with my clients, and here's how many views I got, and freaking half of them are bots and shit. You know what I mean? Like, it f's with us. Like it absolutely f's with us. And I said, you know what? I I came to this realization literally in the last 24 hours. And I was flying home and I said, delete, 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 delete. How can I actually craft my own message to the world if I'm busy worried about the message of other people and my comparison to them? And I said,
mm,
I need to silo myself from all of that. So that's step number one. You cannot compare, and this is for me, and I see like my clients do this, they compare their stage 1 to others stage 20,
yeah,
right? Right.
totally.
And you don't see everything that person's gone through, and you definitely aren't seeing the reality of their business because that's not what people are showing on Instagram, TikTok, social media, anything. They're showing the world how they got their shit together. But see, I learned a long time ago, you cannot compare your inside to other people's outside, right? Okay. And it's so natural. I got caught up in that. And I had to tell you, when I deleted all those, I had this feeling, there's this lightness, man, where I'm like, okay, cool. Because now what I can do is focus on what matters, which is my clients, my
Mm,
audience. What do they need to hear? What do they need from me? F what everyone else is doing that's in the space that I'm in. What can I do to give the gift of value to the people who I'm in communication with, whether that be digitally, socially, or in person?
yeah.
That's step number one, man. Okay. Like, and it literally, I'm in the midst of that right now. In fact, I text Anna, I said, hey, here's what I just did. You're going to love this, bro. And by the way, you got to have the right people around you. Okay. I said, hey, by the way, you'll be very proud. I went through on the flight home and deleted a whole bunch of accounts off my Instagram of other sales traders so that I'm only focused on what we're doing, our message, and not worrying about any of the rest of them. Oh, baby, that makes me very happy. Focus on you makes me happy when you listen to me, right? So,
Mhm.
and so I think it's natural for us to compare. But really what you got to look at is what's your message, what's your value, right? Whatever it is that you do, lean into that and commit to providing that at the highest level, and fuck what everybody else is doing. And otherwise it'll actually completely mess you up. It's like a lighthouse, dude. Like if you're busy thinking about what everyone else is doing, you're this lighthouse that is constantly moving because you're thinking, oh, they just did that. Maybe I should do it. Oh, they just did that, versus siloing yourself. Yeah. And if you're a lighthouse that's moving constantly, what happens to the ships that are out, like in the water? If the lighthouse is constantly moving, they'll freaking crash into the cliffs. You know what I mean? So silo, what's my value? What's my focus? What am I going to provide to my clients, regardless of what industry you're in? And then you stick to it, you refine that, you develop it at a level of excellence, man.
100%. I agree. I think I just heard somebody recently say this. It's if you improve 1% every single day, just 1%, you're going to be 365% better next year, right?
It's even more because it compounds upon itself.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right. And it's just you focusing on you becoming a better version of yourself versus comparing yourself to others. 100%.
Yeah. It's always you versus you, bro. You know what I mean? When you really get down to it. And one of the ways that, and it's just interesting because it really just crept up on me in the last 30 days, that whole comparison piece, because I've been really good about not doing it. But Laird Hamilton, the great big wave surfer that I got to spend some time with and talk to years ago, said the way he's been so successful is that he's always focused on progress over perfection, progress over perfection. And just like what you're talking about, that 1%, he goes, if I can progressively get better a little bit every single day, I know it's going to take a little bit of time, but that is the definition of success, the progressive realization of a worthwhile goal or objective, man. So.
Totally. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Perfect. Let's just transition into some common questions that are asked in the real estate industry. We'll just kind of go over, try to bang these out as soon as possible. You don't have unlimited time, but if there's someone thinking about becoming a real estate agent in 2023, 2024, do you think it's worth it? As far as market saturation, difficulties, and also unrealistic expectations.
So it's only worth it if they're willing to treat it like they're a startup business in Silicon Valley for the next 2 years. What does that mean? It mean, like, if people don't get this, like, hey, I'm going to go get my real estate license. Cool. Right. My friend got their license in 2021. They made $200,000. They're dumbasses. If they're a dumbass, I can actually, there's a hilarious, this is one of the funniest things, dude. There is, if you get the chance to watch it, it's a South Park episode called City People. Right. But it's about real estate agents. And Eric Cartman's mom gets her real estate license. This is the most hilarious thing. Have you seen this? I got to send it to you, dude. It's hilarious.
That's funny.
And he goes, and she gets her license, and Cartman goes, okay, Butters, don't tell anyone. He's like, but this is like, he starts explaining real estate. He's like, he goes, do you think you can see Cartman? He goes, dude, my mom got it and she's a dumbass. I think that's how a lot of people get into the business, right? Is they see someone that they know. Oh my gosh, if that person can do it. It's hilarious. I'll send it to you, dude. We will crack up. I've watched it like 10 times. So most people get into real estate with an unrealistic expectation of what it's going to take.
Yeah.
And they don't realize that they're not becoming a realtor. They're becoming a startup business. And a startup business means you're going to work 60 to 100 hours a week if you truly want to. It means you're going to need to sacrifice. It means you're going to have to learn business principles. You're going to have to build your skills. You're going to go 90 days without probably a lot of income, right? It's going to be difficult. It's going to be hard. This is the stuff that when I start, like I'm leading a seminar, I'm like, I want to give you guys the hard, cold truths about earning 7 figures. You're going to be misunderstood. You're going to work 60 to 100 hours. You're going to forego work-life balance. You're going to be Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak in a freaking garage trying to create this Lisa computer that eventually became a Mac, that became Apple, that became this conglomerate that is everything that we know, and everything that we do is somehow tied into, Apple. Well, how did that happen? It's because these two dudes looked at this and said, I'm obsessed right now about bringing a computer to the world that anyone can use. Well, unless you have that obsession of, hey, I'm going to make make 100,000 my first year in real estate. I'm going to do whatever it takes. And oh, by the way, hey, family, I'm going to need to sacrifice a little bit in this. It's the shit that no one tells you. They look at you and they go, oh, with that smile, with your personality, you're going to do great, Eric. But what they don't tell you is all of the sacrifice it's going to take. So if you are willing to treat this like a business, to treat it like yourself, like a startup, to put the work, energy, and effort in, there is no better time to get your license than in the market that we're in right now, which is challenging, right? In fact, it's better. Steel sharpens steel. You'll come into this market and you will get thick skin. The people that are having the hardest challenge right now, Eric, are the individuals that got in the business in 2021 and 2022, because those were unicorn years for the business, and they thought it's real.
Just like that. You could buy just like that. It was just crazy.
Got it. As long as you showed up, looked somewhat professional, didn't say anything relatively too stupid, you were selling a good amount of homes. And people, when they did that, they thought they had it figured out, but they didn't. And those are the individuals that are getting actually eliminated from the business right now. And I'm watching it happen all the time. You know who crushes it? Those individuals that started real estate in 2008, 2009, 2010. Those are the ones that came in and they go, shit, it was hard, but oh my gosh, man, it made me freaking resilient. It made me recognize what I need to do. And everything after that was easy. Yep. So 100%, I think it's a great time if you're willing to adopt that mentality.
Yeah, 100%. So I guess transitioning, what do you think is the thing that causes most real estate agents to fail? What's the biggest thing that you would say from your experience and everything that you've seen in your life?
I think the biggest thing that causes real estate agents to fail is the three things, and why it is that I built my entire business and my coaching centralizes around this. They fail because let me draw this really quick for you. I hope this comes through. I call it the 3 S's. Come on, I hope that works. There it is, 3 S's right there. If you're going to succeed in real estate, it's the same reason that you're going to fail if you don't actually adopt this. You have to take the time to develop the skills to be able to have intelligent conversations to people that you know and you don't know. You have to develop the skills to be able to actually do a strong buyer consult and buyer presentation. You need to work on your sales acumen, right? Like the greatest salespeople and the people that succeed in the business are the ones that know what to say, they know how to say it, and they can say it effectively. We are salespeople. When you really get down to it, Eric, what we get paid to do as real estate agents is really simple. Blah, 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 blah. We get paid to talk, right? And if you don't take the time to develop your skills, you'll end up getting eliminated. That was the challenge of 2021, 2022. It didn't take skills, right? It just took, hey, I can open this door. I can show you this property. We need to write up this offer. But now you need to be able to actually have conversations that control alternative narratives that the media is spinning that it's a bad time to buy. There's never been a better time to buy. Yeah. That's a skill. Number 2 are what I call standards. See, a lot of people get into real estate because they don't want to be told what to do. They want to be an independent contractor. And all of a sudden they come to work with us and we say, hey, listen, you got to treat this like a real job. You need to show up at the same time. You need to get dressed professionally. You need to be able to follow a schedule, a ritual, routine, right? You need to be able to actually track your numbers, like all of this stuff that's business, these standards, right? Agents don't really adopt that, right? And so they don't follow a schedule. They don't have a routine. They don't have the right rituals. They aren't tracking their numbers. And so therefore it's a hobby. And maybe they sell 3 or 4 homes in a year, right? Because they're treating it like a hobby, not like a business. The last 3 is the third of the S's, which I call this S4, right? The 3 S's add up to the big S, which is success. The third S is strategies. You need to have someone that's taking you through saying, here is the appropriate strategy. And a strategy is nothing more than systems, processes, and people that you use to be able to create efficiency and effectiveness in your business. Effectiveness means I get more income from the work I'm doing. Efficiency means I get more done, right? Mm-hmm. So I am strategic with people. That's the difference between my coaching and a lot of other individuals that is just like life coaching and everything else is we give you the strategy for Here's how you follow up with leads. Here's how you work your online process. Here's how you build your brand. Here's what you need to do with your past clients in Sphere. Here's the strategy for calling an expired listing. All of that is strategic in its approach. In real estate, there's always someone trying to pitch you something that is like the next big shiny penny. And a lot of those strategies you see out there are designed so that you don't have to do the hard work. If it looks too easy, I learned this. Okay. I just I had like some low back pain from doing deadlifts at 52 years old, probably not smart, right? So, and I got one of those like massagers, right?
Yeah.
And I bought it. I went, oh, this looks really good. I forget what it's called. It's one of the most expensive ones. Their number is $700. And this one was $245 off eBay. I said, hot damn, I'm getting it. Shows up, it's in a beautiful package. Everything looks good. I take it out and it works for a little bit. And then all of a sudden it turns on and it won't turn off. And I'm like, oh, so I have to take the battery out if I want to turn it off, right? And then if I have the battery and it's sitting on the table, sometimes we'll be walking and all of a sudden it just comes on like a ghost, right? I'm like, ah, and the robots are taking over. But I look at that and I go, looked too good to be true. Most of the times, if something looks too good to be true, it is. Yeah. Hard work, discipline, skills, and appropriate strategic approach is how you succeed in this business, and why it is that so many people fail, because they're not being taught that. So
totally. So let's just say you're a brand new agent, because you're pretty clear on like, you know, what is the main reason why agents fail. But if you're a brand new agent, and we were just talking about the mindset getting into the business, but let's just say from step by step, let's just say 3 to 5 steps, starting from ground zero, what actions do I need to take in order to make 6 to 7 figures, you know, building a client base, going above, you know, my competition? Like, as a brand new agent, what are the maybe 3 to 5 steps that I need to do to get there?
Okay, so I'll go number one. All right. So number one is you need to build out and work your sphere of influence. Your sphere of influence is going to be anyone, friends, family members, anyone that you've given money to in the past or work with in the past. Typically, and people go, well, I don't know that many people. I just did this at a seminar that I was at in Fort Myers yesterday. I said, wonderful. Why don't we take your phone out? Okay. And let's go to the very bottom, click on contacts, and let's see how many people you actually have in your phone. In that room, there's about 100 some odd people in that room. The average was probably about 375 to 400 people that people had as their contacts in their phone, right? I said, okay, cool. Let's back out that 30% of those are individuals outside the area, other real estate agents or whatever. So we take 30% of 400. Let's make it nice and easy. It's 120. That means that you still have 280 people that are inside of there. Well, if you work that effectively, you can get a 10% capture rate after about 2 years, 5% in your first year. You get 8, 9 deals just off of that. If you're reaching out, marketing, calling, and there's an entire strategy for that. I can't get into it, but you would need to be able to work that list. That's number one, right? You get your 4 or 5 deals from that. The average commission is $10,000. Wow, that's $40,000 to $50,000. Okay, cool. Well, what else would I do? Number two, I would absolutely get set to do as many open houses for other agents as I possibly could, because I won't have a lot of homes or listings myself. So I would go to my broker, owner, manager, or the benefit of being on a team and say, I want 2 open houses, 3 open houses per week. I want to have one on Saturday. I want to have one on Sunday. Before the open house, I'd go out, I'd knock on the doors, I'd introduce myself to the neighbors. I'd say, our team, our brokerage, I'm representing this agent, right? We're holding this house open again. If you know anyone that's thinking, oh, by the way, my name's Bill, I'm with Banana Real Estate. How long have you guys lived here? You know, do you like the area? If this home's going to sell pretty quickly, if we have other buyers, do you know anyone else that's thinking? I just have, again, the skill and the script to be able to have that conversation. See, as a new agent, you got to get comfortable face to face, belly to belly with somebody, right? And there's no better way to do that than someone that has opted to get in their car, drive to this house, walk in and say, hi, right? They're an opt-in type of lead. You can have a really easy conversation with them at that point. That's number 2. Okay. Number 3. So number 1 is your sphere of influence. Number 2, is going to be your
Open
open
houses.
houses. Number three is you've got, I'm going to go back to skills. You got to take 30 minutes a day, 40 minutes a day, maybe even an hour a day. And you got to work on the fundamental. There's 8 fundamental scripts that you need to have, right? And if you just take 30 minutes a day to really get your presentation down and you stick to one for 30, 60, 90 days, it'll take you, I did the math because it's 90 days, 67 calendar days, or 67 work days to be able to create a habit. If you do that in 1.97 years, you'll have every dialogue down that you need to actually have in real estate to be able to succeed. And you'll have it on a path of mastery. So you need to get those dialogues down because when you feel comfortable, right, you produce better results. You get on the phone. Here's number 4. You have to prospect 2 to 3 hours a day. I don't care what anyone tells you. You have 100% got to get on the phone and prospect. Well, who do I call? Your sphere of influence. Who else do I call? I'll go out and door knock. Who else do I call? I'll call expireds. I'll call for sale by owners. Who else do I call? Maybe I got some online leads, right? But I need to spend 2-3 hours a day outreaching to my leads or outreaching to potential clients. And last but not least, so would be, and I know this is going to sound surprising because I teach this model of the best businesses are prospecting and discipline based, but they're marketing and tech enhanced. They're marketing and tech enhanced. You need to be doing 1 to 2 videos, Eric, this is, our world, 1 to 2 videos a week where you're talking about something relevant inside of real estate, right? Putting that out onto your social channels. Start positioning yourself as an area expert. Where do you get the information? Well, you go to Keeping Current Matters, Altos Research, ALTOS, Housing Wire, and you start to study. That's the other piece. I think if there's a number 6 is how do you come up with that content? Well, you come up with that content because you're constantly studying what's going on in the market and what's happening nationally. And you can talk about that to position yourself as an expert, right? You go out and you're previewing property. That's the other thing. I'd be previewing 10, 15 properties a day if I could, to be able to understand the market, to study the market, to be able to actually speak intelligently about it. So I can do videos so that the world can know, here's Bill Pipes. Not only is he a great dad, not only is he, a mountaineer, but he's a real estate agent, right? He knows his shit inside and out. Wow. When we think about it, wow, there's Bill Pipes again. Wow. Oh, there's Bill Pipes on a mountain, but there's Bill Pipes on his market update. Oh, there's Bill Pipes with Liam and Sophia. Oh, there's Bill Pipes talking about what interest rates are doing. Well, eventually what happens is just like Geico, they start thinking real estate, they think me as well too, right? So they begin to see me everywhere. They hear me on the phone. They see me in their email. They see me on social media. I'm putting out valuable, relevant content, right? That's your first year in real estate. You do that, you'll sell 12 homes. 12 homes in most marketplaces is $100,000 to $120,000. That's a great first year of real estate, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of new real estate agents ask this question, and it's just, it's kind of funny because, everybody has their own answers, whatever. But it's just one of those funny questions. Is it better to work with buyers or sellers?
So in the long run, you want to build a business that is, a good mix. 60, like if you're a solo agent, 60% sellers, 40% buyers is great. It's a good balance. Why? Because you're leveraged a little bit more with sellers, right? Buyers are going to take 6 to 7 times longer than in most cases sellers in markets. But it's also a much more refined and much more advanced skill set that is necessary to work with sellers, to get the appointment with sellers than it is with buyers. It's a lot more difficult to generate the seller leads than it is the buyer leads. Now, so what I look at is first couple of years in the business, you're probably going to be 80-20, 80% buyers, 20% sellers, right? And that'll begin to migrate as your past clients begin to sell, as you begin to get more experience, as you begin to understand pricing and price a little bit more and can talk with certainty about it. But honestly, first couple of years, lean into buyers. The leads are easier to find, right? It's easier to get a buyer under contract. It takes a little bit more time, right? And as you're building up, what I would say, if you're new, I would find a badass agent that's at your brokerage, right? That is a great listing agent. And as you come upon listing opportunities, instead of you doing it by yourself, you go to that badass agent and you say, hey, Eric, as you know, I'm new in the business. I've got this listing opportunity. I'd like to co-list it with you. If you can go and you can go on the presentation with me, I'll give you X percentage, right? And we can sort of share the listing. Would that be okay? Now, what's happening is I'm getting paid as this person is doing the presentation for me to apprentice underneath them to see how it is that it's effective for me to do a listing presentation, the
I
listing
like that.
process.
Yeah, that's
I do that
good.
four or five times with my first listings. Then I go, cool, I got this. Well, Bill, coach, man, I'm going to give up 50% of that listing. Well, you know what? 50% of a listing you take is better than 100% of one that you miss out on.
Yeah,
So,
totally.
you know,
100%.
yeah.
So good. So I know we kind of went over this already, and we talked about the essential to become a successful real estate agent. You need to get good with your speaking skills, right? And that comes down to prospecting. But this is going to be one of those questions: is cold calling worth it in 2024?
So straight cold calling, no. Skip the record. There it goes. Right. So, um, calling around a listing to let people know that whether it's your company's listing, your own listing, your team's listing, calling around a sale, whether it's your company, your team, your own sale that just took place, that's valuable. Hey,
Mm.
Eric, it's Bill Pipes. I'm a local real estate agent. We just sold your neighbor's home over on 1234 Primrose Lane, that beautiful 4-bedroom, 2-bath. Are you familiar with it? Did you see the sign out front? Hey, listen, the reason for my call is that home sold in multiple offers. There were 3 people that bid on it. We have 2 more buyers that are interested, right? And I promised them that I'd reach out to see if there's anybody else in the neighborhood that may be thinking about buying or selling at this time. So I'm just wondering, who do you know that may be selling? Gosh, Bill, we can't think of it. What about you? How long have you lived this address? Where'd you move from? What's that crazy price? So doing that type of prospecting, much more effective than just straight cold calling. Calling leads, I think everyone should have online presence. You should have, and there's a lot of free sources that you can actually have, that they're not going to charge anything up front. They're just going to charge you out of pocket, when you do get the home under contract. I'd sign up for as many of those as I possibly could, those free services. So I've got some leads coming in so that I can work that and then follow up on the open houses and other stuff along those lines. So I don't like straight cold calling. I think it's a needle in a haystack. I think around listings, around sales, door knocking into a community where you have something to actually drop off and have a conversation. Yeah, all that's fantastic as a newer agent. As you're indexing, and you do that until you get some money to invest in the business. Now, this is what I tell people in real estate. You're starting a business. Bozo, don't start the business if you don't have reserves, right? Okay. If you don't have like 90 days to 5 months worth of reserves, freaking stay in your job until you do, so you can actually make intelligent decisions about marketing, intelligent decisions. You don't have that commission breath because you need the business. Because if you don't, they're going to repossess your house and your car and your life and your kids. Right. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even the sales cycle is like 1 to 2 months before you even get any kind of paycheck. Could be even 3 months. Who knows?
Bro, it's 4 months. If you really crush it, you're 90-day, because you're going to start that first month. Even if you get a buyer, it's going to take you 30, 45 days to get them on contract, then 30 to 45 days to close them. You're looking at a 90-day lag period. And a lot of people get into real estate and they don't have the cushion. And because they don't have the cushion, they make stupid decisions at that point.
100%. Yeah. So, in order for real estate agents to grow in 2024, obviously all the things that we've mentioned is absolutely essential when it comes to persuasion and learning all the skills and strategies. Now, should real estate agents pay for ads to grow their business?
So it depends. It depends upon, like we were just talking about, how intelligently they're moving into the market and how prepared they are into the business and how prepared they are to invest in their business. Listen, there's a lot of people. I'm a yes. You should have a marketing budget. That marketing budget should be 6 to 10% of your total gross revenue. If you're earning $100,000, you need to be taking 6 to 10,000, reinvesting it back into the business from a marketing budget. 200,000, 12 to 20,000. Right? Every great business, especially in today's world, needs some type of presence online, and you need to be able to actually invest in that. Period. Right? However, here's what I would tell people. You don't lead with that. There's a lot of people that will say, I'm going to spend my money on marketing, okay, but I'm not going to get these fundamentals down. So they try to market their way to success. They spend all this money, but they're not prospecting and they're not doing all of the fundamental business principles that are necessary. So I've always said, listen, if you don't have a lot of money, if you have a small budget as you're getting into the business, you've got to do the things you don't want to do and that are uncomfortable to do long enough to be able to generate income to reinvest back into the business, to be able to pay someone to do those things, right? So it doesn't cost you anything to go on social media. It doesn't cost you anything to go click, here's a video that I'm shooting. It doesn't cost you anything to be able to actually put a post on. You can do all of that without any cost basis except for your time. And will it be the prettiest and will it be the most amazing? Probably not. But the shitty video that someone does, right, is better than the perfect video that someone never puts out. So
yeah, I think just posting content in general is so worth it. I mean, this is not even a question in 2023, 24. Like everybody knows about this because you're constantly getting eyeballs that you otherwise would have never got. And also you're improving your own skills when it comes to speaking. You get good at speaking when you're recording content because most people get on a camera and they're terrible at talking in general. That was me probably a couple of years ago. I was horrible, but with time and practice, you get good at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So everybody should be posting content.
Everyone should. It's free. If you have an iPhone, right? I mean, think about it. This is a walking studio. I have an iPhone. I have QuickTime. A dumbass like me can even understand how to work QuickTime and clip videos and put it out. It may not look pretty and all that stuff and have all the wonderful things that you do for us, but 100% it can go out. And people, here's the amazing thing. You may think it's horrible. This is the funny thing, Eric. You and I have talked about this. Some of the videos that I shoot and I do, and I go, oh man, this one's gonna win an Emmy. It's gonna go viral, right? And I put it out, goes over like a lead balloon. And the one that's like me walking on the street and whatever, right? And I'm like, oh shit, man, I promised myself I'd put content out, right? And it's me walking on the street and that one goes up. I'm like, motherfucker, that one just
It's always like that. It's always
right?
like that.
So here's the game. The game is consistently be putting content out. That's it. Yep. It doesn't make sure it's relevant, right? But don't worry, you're gonna get better. I look at, to your point, some of the videos that I used to do, and I'm like, oh man, right? But I keep them up because it gives people the chance to see we all started somewhere. We started somewhere with our scripts. We started somewhere with our videos. We started somewhere with everything that we've done, right? And we just progressively get better and better because you stick it out, period.
Yeah. So we're coming pretty close to the ending of this amazing call that we've had. A lot of questions answered, but let's just go to the market, man. Let's quickly talk about the market. So do you think the housing market is going to dip next year?
No, it depends upon what you call dip. Do I think it's going to dip on the number of sales? It's probably going to go down a little bit because there's not enough inventory, right? There's two reasons for this, bro. Number one, builders stopped building in gaps in 2010, 2011, 2012. You had the millennials coming into the world at that time and beginning to think, I'm going to buy a house, right? 2 years later. So what happened is that gap of 2 to 3 years of builders pulling back dramatically, right? And the millennials, which is the largest group of human beings and population that ever hit the demographic of the United States of America, those two things combined was the perfect storm. You have more people coming to the market to buy homes and you had fewer homes being created. Until the only way that you solve the inventory problem is if our builders build like banshees, right? To be able to actually provide more homes. Human beings are staying in their house longer, right? You've got 70 to 74% of the population is in a sub 4% interest rate lock of their house. They love, they don't love the house, but they love their payment, man. And you got the Gen Zers that are coming in right now, like over the next couple of years, that are going to begin to actually start buying houses. And they're different historically than the millennials. The millennials took a long time to buy homes. The Gen Zers are like, they want it quick.
Yeah, they're coming in quick.
It's insane, man. It's sort of funny to watch the difference in the general attitude of the two. Like the millennials, Like, no offense, millennials, like a lot of them are soft and they didn't want to buy houses and they wanted to stay in their parents' like
Mhm.
basement smoking weed, right? Until whenever, right? And so, but you got the Gen Zers, which is a different generation now, like watching them. Like my son's a Gen Zer. He's like, Dad, I'm going to college 4 years. I'm going to get a job. I'm going to buy a house. I'm going to be a millionaire by this time. And I watch him with his friends, and they're all that way. They're
Mhm.
not like the millennials that were like, give me a pony. I need to hug it and let me jump into a pool of balls. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So number one, you got some demographics that are working for this market and why it will not go backwards, right? In fact, all projections show 5 to 6% appreciation in prices for next year. Okay, that's what NAR, Zillow, CoreLogic, Case Shiller, all of them are projecting that 4 or 5, some of them even 6% increase. Well, why is that? Because there's demand, even though demand may have dropped because of interest rates. The demand has dropped and the amount of supply has dropped, and so the demand is staying up higher. The supply is lower, so you see that increase in pricing. Now,
Yeah.
watch this. Rates come down from 7.7% where they are today down to 6%, 6.5%, which are projected to do sometime in 2024. It's going to be gasoline on a fire. You're going to have that shadow demand come out, and you're going to have, again, multiple offer situations. 100%. So there's zero doubt in my mind.
Market's always going just like this, just constantly up and down, up and down. It's
Dude,
always
and
different. We have to adapt
bro,
and
this year, prices have continued to increase every single month, right? Like month over month, anywhere from zero point 0.4 to 1.2% every single month. Economically, if someone had said to you, hey, Eric, interest rates are going to be close to 8% in October of next year, right? What would you say is going to happen to housing prices if interest rates are going to be that high? Prices
well,
are going to go down,
yeah.
right? And they didn't, right? So if we didn't see them go down now, unless there's some type of black swan event like what we experienced back in 2020, right? Then we're just going to continue to see that upward appreciation.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's reasonable for sure.
That's not my opinion. That's data driven, backed, based upon what
Who
the
cares
top.
about our opinions, right?
My opinion is worth nothing. Okay.
Awesome, Bill. So much great gems throughout this whole interview, from mindset to tactical things and persuasion and skills that we can improve. All of us can start doing, and just really things that we can start doing even today with content and marketing ourselves and everything when it comes to being successful in real estate. I want to thank you again so much for having this interview and giving out your wealth of knowledge to everyone. And again, if you guys want to go ahead and find Bill, it's Coach Pipes on Instagram. If you want to follow me, go ahead as well. It's Eric Betran. Thank you so much, everyone who watched this video and everyone that's going to watch this later on. Thank you so much, Bill, again.
Hey, Eric, thanks, man. I always love having these conversations. I look forward to doing it again. And for everyone that's watching, just remember, if really we talk money, we talk everything, but if you can help enough people get what they want, you'll always have what you want. And really
Always.
that becomes the focus. And Eric, I know that's what you do. That's what I'm committed to, right? So just keep that in mind, right? It's not always easy to do that because we want to get our stuff, but if you just keep, how can I serve others, right? The universe will take care of you as long as you're working hard to be able to do it. So thanks, Eric. I appreciate you, man.
Awesome,
Okay.
guys. Thank you so much again. We'll see you guys in the next one.